Okay, guys, so now we'll continue the remaining stuff. Now we'll talk about classification of irrigation projects or schemes. Now, the first one is a major project. It consists of huge surface water storage reservoirs and flow diversion structures. Around 10,000 hectares is covered under this. Medium project, surface water projects with but with medium sized storage and diversion structures with area under irrigation between 10,000 hectares and 2,000 hectares. And minor project, this has area under irrigation between 2,000 hectares and source of water is either groundwater or from wells or tube wells or surface water lifted by pumps or by gravity flow from tanks. Now major and medium irrigation projects are further classified as direct irrigation method, storage irrigation method. Now we'll talk about direct irrigation method. In this, the project water is directly diverted from river into canals by constructing a diversion structure like weir or a barrage across river with some pondage to take care of diurnal variations. It also affects in raising river water level, which is then able to flow into off-taking channel by gravity. Now, flow in channel is usually controlled by a gated structure, and this in combination with diversion structure is also sometimes called headworks. Example, DVC irrigation project on Damodar River with barrage located at Durgapur. Now we'll talk about storage irrigation method. Part of excess water of a river during monsoon, which otherwise would have passed down the river as a flood, is stored in a reservoir or tank found at upstream of a dam constructed across a river or stream. Now, this stored water is then used for irrigation. This is adopted when flow of river or stream is in excess of requirements of irrigated crops during certain part of the year, but falls below requirements or isn't available at all in river during remaining part of the year. Since construction site of a storage reservoir is possible in regions of undulating topography, it is usually practiced in non-deltaic areas. In other type of scheme, the storage headworks or dams has to be equipped with ancillary structure like outlets, sluice, spillway, log chutes, etc. Storage created by dam behind reservoir is substantial compared to that behind a barrage, and it may inundate a large tract of land depending on topography. Capacitor of reservoir generally determined systematically by knowing possible withdrawal demands, in this case for irrigation over weeks and months of a year and corresponding expected inflows. Example, Indira Sagar project on Narmada River. Now, another type of storage irrigation method envisages storage of water at some place in hilly terrain of river where construction of dam is possible. A barrage is constructed at some downstream location where terrain is flatter and canals take off as in a usual direct irrigation method. Example, Bakranangal barrage combination on river Satluj. Now we'll talk about some types of storage irrigation systems. The first one is dams. Dams is a hydraulic structure constructed across a river to store water on its upstream side. It is an impervious or fairly impervious barrier put across a natural stream so that a reservoir is formed. Now, on the basis of the structure, it is classified as gravity dams, which are heavy and massive wall-like structures of concrete in which whole weight acts vertically downwards. These dams resist horizontal thrust of water entirely by their own weight. Buttress dam, gravity dam reinforced by structural supports. These dams have a solid watertight upstream side that is supported at intervals on downstream side by a series of buttresses or supports. Earth dam. This is trapezoidal in shape, constructed where foundation or underlying material or rocks are weak to support masonry dam or where suitable competent rocks are at a greater depth. And finally, arch dams. These are designed so that the force of the water against it, known as the hydrostatic pressure against arch, compressing and strengthening structure as it pushes into its foundation or abutments. Now we'll talk about the spillways and energy dispatchers. Now a spillway is a channel that carries excess water over or around a dam or other obstruction. An energy dissipator is a device that is used to convert concentrated storm water runoff to sheet flow and is constructed at the end of all storm sewers or channels that outfall into a buffer. Now we'll talk about sluices and outlets. A sluice is an artificial channel for conducting water with a valve or gate to regulate the flow. An outlet is a small structure which admits water from distributing channel to a water course of the field channel. Thus, an outlet is a sort of head regulator for field channel delivering water to irrigation fields. Now we'll talk about some schemes related with irrigation systems. The first one is the Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana. It was launched in 2015. This is formulated by amalgamating ongoing schemes like Accelerated Irrigation Benefit Program, Integrated Watershed Management Program, On-Farm Water Management component of National Mission on Sustainable Agriculture. Its objectives are to expand cultivable area under assured irrigation, that is Har Khet Ko Pani, to enhance recharge of aquifers and introduce sustainable water conservation practices. Now, what are the components of this PM Krishi Sinchai Yojana? First is AIBP, that is Accelerated Irrigation Benefit Program. Um, it is undertaken by the Ministry of Water Resources, River Development and Ganga Rejuvenation. It is a faster completion of ongoing major and medium irrigation, including national projects. Now, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, it is by Ministry of Water Resources, River Development and Ganga Rejuvenation. Command area development, construction of rainwater harvesting structures, Jal Mandir in Gujarat, Khatri or and Kul in Himachal Pradesh, Zabo in Nagaland, Eri or Uranis in Tamil Nadu, Dongs in Assam, Katas, Bandas in Odisha and Madhya Pradesh, Harkhet. Now, PM Krishi Sinchai Yojana under this per drop per crop. This is by Ministry of Agriculture to promote efficient water conveyance and precaution water app devices like drip sprinklers, pivots in farms, ICT interventions through NEGP, National Employment Generation Program. Now we'll also talk about Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, watershed development. Now this is by Department of Hand Resources, Ministry of Rural Development, and it's converging with MG Narega, DPAP, DDP, and the IWDP consolidated under this component. Salient features an outlay of rupees 50,000 crore over a period of 5 years from 2015-16 to 2019-20 to bring 140 lakh hectares of additional area under irrigation. Now, the Administration Interministerial National Steering Committee under PM with union ministers of all concerned ministries. A National Executive Committee is to be constituted under chairmanship of Vice Chairman Niti Aayog to oversee program implementation. Long-term irrigation fund instituted under PM Krishi Sinchai Yojana and NABARD for funding and fast-tracking implementation of incomplete major and medium irrigation projects. Now we'll talk about Kisan Urja Suraksha Evam Uttan Mahabhiyan. This was announced in budget 2018-19. This is to provide financial and water security to farmers. Now, the components of this are it aims to add a solar capacity. Krishi Urja Suraksha Evam Uttan Mahabhiyan, it aims to add a solar capacity of 25,750 megawatt by 2022. It has three components. First is the component A, which is 10,000 megawatt of decentralized ground-mounted grid-connected renewable power plants. Renewable power plants of capacity 500 kilowatt to 2 megawatt will be set up by individual farmers, cooperatives, FPO on their barren or cultivable lands referred as RPG, which is renewable power generator. Power generator will be purchased by DISCOMs at feed-in tariffs determined by respective SCRC, performance-based incentives at rupees 0.40 per unit for 5 years to be provided to DISCOMs. Now we'll talk about component B. In this, the installation of standalone solar-powered agri pumps. Indie farmers will be supported to install standalone solar pumps of capacity up to 7.5 HP horsepower, mandatory to use indigenously manufactured solar panels with solar cells and modules. Center and state to share 30% of pump cost each. Farmer to provide 40% can access bank loan for up to 30% of cost. And now we'll talk about component C, solarization of grid connected solar powered agri pumps. Individual farmers will be supported to solarize pumps of capacity 7.5 HP, solar PV capacity up to 2 times of pump capacity in kilowatts allowed. Farmer use generated energy to meet irrigation and excess available energy sold to DISCOM. Now, the utilization of barren land by farmers to generate 10,000 megawatt of solar energy and sell it to grid. For this, DISCOMs would be given 50 pies per unit as generation based incentives to buy power from farmers for 5 years. Government will provide subsidy to farmers for buying 17.5 lakh Off-grid solar farm pumps, center and states will provide 30% subsidy each on solar pumps. Another 30% will be met through loans, while 10% of the cost will be borne by farmers. Solarization of grid-connected farm pumps involving 7250 megawatt capacity. Solarization of government departments' grid-connected water pumps. Now, what are the expected benefits? It helps in de-dieseling of agri sector. It helps financial health of discoms by reducing subsidy burden, and it also helps in promotion of decentralized solar power production, and it reduces taxation losses through off-grid systems. Now we'll talk about Mission Kakatiya in Telangana. This was to enhance development of agri-based income for small and marginal farmers by accelerating development of minor irrigation infrastructure, community-based irrigation management, and restoration of tanks. Now we'll talk about the related terms which are command area. What is a command area? This is the area that can be irrigated by a canal system, which is further classified as gross command area. That is the total area that can be irrigated by a canal system um, on perception that quantity of water is available, unlimited quantity of water is available. It is total area that may theoretically be served by irrigation system, but this may include inhibited areas, roads, ponds, uncultivable areas, etc., which should not be irrigated. Now we'll talk about culturable command area. Actually, this is actually irrigated area within that gross command area. However, this entire CCA, that is cultivable command area, is never put under cultivation during any crop season due to the following reasons. That is, required quantity of water, fertilizer not available, land may be kept fallow for one or more crop seasons to increase fertility. Due to high water table in some areas of CCA, irrigation water may not be applied as crops get enough water from saturation provided to surface water table during any crop season. Only a part of CCA is put under cultivation, and this area is termed as culturable cultivated area. Remaining area which is not cultivated during a crop season, conversely termed culturable uncultivated area. Intensity of irrigation is defined as the percentage of irrigation proposed to be irrigated annually. Usually areas irrigation during each crop season, Rabi Kharif, is expressed as a percentage of CCA, which represents intensity of irrigation for crop season. By adding intensities of irrigation for all crop seasons, areal intensity of irrigation is obtained. And thus